even plants have life. The thorn is like a limb of a human being. So this Makhali Gosala, he had a great respect for life. Everything is living. Therefore, don't hurt. Even uprooting a plant was according to him himsa, cruelty. So Mahavira learnt a lot from this biologist, Makhali Gosala, who also sketched the way how the plants grow, their tenure, their secret life, their days, their nights, etc., etc. You find a very interesting account of these wandering philosophers, the Ajivikas. And there is a book by Dr. Veni Madhav Barua, Pre-Buddhist Indian Philosophy, which gives an account of all these Ajivikas. Very interesting, little known, but they have profound thoughts to their credit. Well, Mahavira imbibed from this Makhali Gosala the respect for life. So ahimsa became one of the cornerstones of Mahavira's philosophy. Not to hurt any living being, because every life has the eligibility to go on, to continue, as long as destiny terminates it. And Mahavira, he described this world not as Makhali Gosala described. Makhali Gosala said, this world is like a ball of wool, which is gradually being unwrapped. So the world is gradually losing its solidity. So gradually the ball of wool is becoming less and less in quantity, and there will come a time when this ball will disappear altogether. The opposite of the Big Bang theory. Well, this Makhali Gosala thus said, this is all accidental. A man is wise, a man is foolish, a man is rich, a man is poor, a man is healthy, another man is unhealthy. All this is accidental. Yadracha. Yadracha is a chance. The chance rules the world. There is no order, there is no law for life, and there is no one who supervises or guides. This world is a madhouse. Things happen as they will, and it's not predestined. But Mahavira countered this and said, you find order in life, order in the world. Seasons occur in their fixed periods. Day and night, they follow with an immaculate precision. You don't find 2 nights coming together, 2 days coming together. Everything in this world happens according to order. And this order involves a purpose behind the order. There can be no order without a purpose. The hormic idea of an order, and the purpose of life is to reach to a stage when there is absolutely no dirt of the world. So Mahavira, he spoke about the loka, which was orderly. The world, according to him, was an orderly thing. We are born not because of accident, because of a purpose. Every individual has a purpose to fulfill. Every individual has a destiny. And Mahavira called himself Lokavadi, Lokavai in Ardhamagadi. He called himself a Lokavadi. I believe in the world and the orderly world. And having believed this, Mahavira said, I don't believe in an indolent life. Life must be purposeful. Life must be directed to achieve this purpose, achieve this goal of life. Therefore, I am a Kriyavadi. I advocate action. I don't advocate indolence. Kriyavadi. And he said, I believe that there is a self for every individual. And it is the duty of every individual to be responsible to that self. So he called himself the Atmavadi. So Mahavira distinguished himself on these 3 counts, that he was a Lokavadi. He believed in the world and the orderly world. And number two, he believed in a life which should be full of activity. And thirdly, the self in every individual as that which is the most important thing. So based on these three, he gave out a philosophy which took into account the limitations of the normal human mind. He said, man can't know all things at the same time in all ways. Anything is known to us only partially. Whatever we know in bits and pieces. This is a philosophical school called Anekantavada. An object has many facets, like the proverbial or the legendary elephant, which was seen by the 6 blind men in 6 different ways. We all look at the world in different aspects. The same world is presented to us in so many different ways. No one man can have a vision of the object from all its angles. At best, therefore, when you know something, you can only say this may be so. You have no right to say this is so. So this is called Syadvada. If you know an object from one angle and another person, he sees the same object in another angle, both of them are correct. But both of them can only say Syadasti. It may be like this, it may be like that. So this is what is known as the Anekantavada or relativity of knowledge. Nobody can know all things at once. But when you transcend this loka, when you go beyond the limitations of the normal human mind and the sense organs, it is possible to have a vision of the world as it is without limitations. This is what is available to a Jina or a Tirthankara or an Arhat or a Pujya. So Mahavira pointed out that epistemologically man can't know really what is supreme. He has to take recourse to a career of discipline, asceticism, and only then, when he has rid of all the dross in his life, he can have a vision of reality as it is. And that vision of reality is his own self, in its purity, in its isolation. The isolation he called Kaivalya. Well, these are the two schools of the Sramana tradition, and the representative of the Brahmana tradition is the Vedanta. Well, if you care to bear with me for another half an hour or so after this break, then I will deal with Vedanta. Is it all right? Is it information that I have to pass on would be about the Vedanta. Vedanta would be more familiar to you than the other schools of Indian thought, because people have managed to keep the attractions of Vedanta alive. Well, Vedanta strictly means the end of the Vedas. Anta is the end. The end or the final phase of the Vedic literature. As I mentioned, the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, and finally the Upanishads. So Upanishads are known as the Vedanta. And even Shankara, the great Vedantin, in the 7th century, when he wrote his commentaries, he uses the term Vedanta only in the sense of Upanishads. He is not acquainted with a different school of thought called Vedanta. Well, it's curious. Even Shankara does not speak of Vedanta as a school. For him, Vedanta merely means the Upanishads. Sarve Vedanta Arabhyante. All the Vedantas start with this in view. So Vedanta means the end portion of the Vedic literature or the Vedic corpus. The other meaning of Anta is the conclusion, the final statement. So it also means the conclusion of the Upanishadic thought. Upanishadic thought, the Vedic thought, which gradually evolved, reached its culmination in the Upanishads. So Upanishads constituted not merely the last literary portions, but it also means the final conclusions arrived at by the Vedic thought. So Vedanta thus would mean the culmination of the Vedic tradition. Vedanta as a school is coeval with another school called the Mimamsa. You will pardon me if I use too many technical terms. You will pardon me when I use too many technical terms. This Mimamsa literally means inquiry, examination. Mimamsa is an inquiry, is an examination, vichara, vicharana. After the Vedic period was over, there were people who were interested to know the burden of the Veda, the thrust of the Veda. What is all this Veda about? Or the Vedartha? What's the meaning of the Veda? What's all this leading to? So the thrust or the goal or the purport or the import of the Veda was being discussed, was being examined, was being inquired into. Those who chose to do this were called the Mimamsakas, inquirers. So they inquired into the purpose of the Veda. What does the Veda mean to us? What is the Vedartha? A great scholar, a great thinker, a thinker in many ways, who was greater than Shankara, but unfortunately he is not as well known as Shankara. This fame is a matter of luck. Some people become famous, but they are not necessarily great. This Kumarila was a very great man. He contributed many thoughts even to Shankara, but nobody knows about Kumarila Bhatta, who lived in Bihar. Kumarila. He came from Mithila. Well, this Kumarila, he said, the purport of the Veda is dharma. Dharma, by definition, is whatever holds up a man, holds up a person. There are occasions when we slip, when we are likely to fall down, but there is something on which we support ourselves, a prop. The Vedas tell us on what to support ourselves. What is a prop for us in our daily life? There are temptations of various types. There are forces of circumstances of various types. There are our own hankerings and aspirations of various types. If we listen to all of them, if we yield to all of them, our life will be ruined. But what is that something holding on to which we can pass through life with a certain amount of safety, security and satisfaction? The answer of the Mimamsakas is dharma. Dharma, the word means dhrang dharane, that which supports, that which holds up, that which prevents a man from falling. So this dharma is the Vedartha. All the Vedas are merely attempting to tell us about dharma. This is dharma. If you stick to it, you will be safe. And you might be interested to know that in Ramayana, this dharma is given a great importance. This dharma is not the sectarian dharma. It is not the tribal dharma. It is not the caste dharma. But dharma is a general concept which is of common human relevance. Every person holding on to this dharma will go on. When Rama has been asked to go to the forest for 14 years, he goes to his mother, Kausalya, to tell her that this is the desire of his father, that he goes to the forest for 14 years. The day that was fixed for his coronation, he is to go to the forest. And Kausalya, the brave mother and a worthy mother of Rama, she blesses him. She gives him an advice. And what's the advice that she gives? She does not call on all the gods to protect him, protect this youngster. She merely said, Yampalayasi dharmam dhratya cha niyamena cha savai raghava shardula dharmastvam abhirakshatu. That dharma which you keep with steadfast approach, let that dharma protect you. This is the importance of dharma. If we keep that, that will keep us. So Mimamsakas said, every individual has to recognize this dharma, and all the Veda labors towards this end. So this is the Vedartha. And what is this dharma in terms of practical action? In terms of practical action, it is the various rituals that one engages himself in, the Mimamsakas said. So the dharma was straitjacketed, was confined to ritualistic action. And what does one get as a result of this ritualistic action? The various actions that we should necessarily do. These are called the nityas. We should wash our face, we should take a bath, we should do this, and this is the nitya karma. Occasional action we do, this is naimittika karma. And we do the actions to satisfy our desires, the kamya karmas. And there are certain actions which we should not engage ourselves in at all. These are nishiddha karmas. The Mimamsakas said all this is in terms of the rituals, the regimen that we follow. What do we get as a result of this? The Mimamsakas answered, Abhyudaya, prosperity here in this life. You will become wealthy, you will become prosperous, you will be respected by the group, you will have a role in society to play. All this is Abhyudaya. And after having lived your life here, you will go to a better state of existence, Lisreyasa. They figuratively call this the Swarga. Swarga is not a land where the rivers of honey flow, where the bowers of butter flow. Not that at all. Swarga is that which is relishable, that which is wanted by everybody, that which is ultimately blissful, happy. So the Mimamsakas said, the fruit of your good actions here is a life well lived, and hereafter the heaven or bliss. So this was the Mimamsaka view of the Veda. So they regarded the Upanishads as unnecessary annexures. So they had no respect for the Upanishads at all. Their chief reliance was on the Brahmana texts, the ritualistic texts. So this was the position among the Vedic traditionalists when the Vedanta people took an opposite stand, a contrary stand. They said the purport of the Veda is not dharma at all. Veda is trying to bring wisdom into our lives. It is not to engage ourselves in rituals that the Vedas have come down. Vedas are there to make us wise. So wisdom is what the Vedas give, because the very word Veda means knowledge. The very word Veda, wit, is to know, knowledge. So the purport of the Veda is jnana and not the karma at all. Then they said, the Mimamsakas here, again, when they prescribe rituals as effective expressions of dharma. The Vedantians said rituals are inane. Rituals are for people belonging to particular sections, particular groups, particular sects. What about the people to whom no ritual is enjoined? Are they outside the scope of dharma? So the Vedantists, for the first time, they spoke of the dharma applicable to all human beings. So in this regard, they discounted rituals, they dismissed rituals as absolutely useless. Rituals are fabricated by the priests who have a selfish motive at their selfish motive. Well, Veda, Vada, Rata, Bhagavad Gita also says the same thing. Bhagavad Gita also, he speaks of the rituals as the dross of dharma, the very despicable part of dharma. Dharma consists in good living. Good living is disciplined living. Living with a mind that always hankers to get the knowledge beyond, while not sacrificing your duties and not rejecting the roles that you have in society. So the Vedanta pointed out that dharma has an application to jivita and not to karma. So Vedanta took a position diametrically opposed to the karma kanda. Karma kanda is the ritualistic side of the Veda, but the Vedanta favored the jnana kanda, the wisdom alone that was important. And they said the Swarga is a fool's paradise. There is no Swarga worth the name, and these rituals don't lead to that Swarga at all. So instead of the Swarga, there is dukkha here, there is tapatraya, and the freedom from this is all that the individual is entitled to obtain as a result of his good life lived. So the Vedantists for the first time spoke of the moksha as the goal, not as the Swarga. Swarga they dismissed as child's play. Moksha, liberation from the trammels of existence, this was held out by the Vedanta as the goal of life. So Vedanta thus arose as a reaction to the Mimamsakas. Well, Vedanta as a darshana, as a school of thought, does not figure in our books till about the 11th century. We don't hear of Vedanta as a separate darshana. In Haribhadra Suri's Darshana Samuchaya, you don't think of Vedanta, you don't hear of Vedanta as a darshana at all. In the Tattvopaplava Simha Vadiraja, in the 4th century, he deals with several darshanas, but Vedanta is not one of them. Vedanta became an independent darshana only in Vishwasara Tantra about the 11th century, latter part of the 10th century or early 11th century. Well, anyway, since that time Vedanta has been regarded as a school. Vedanta as a school has three major texts to rely upon. The first, of course, is the collection of Upanishads as coming from the Vedic lore, Vedic corpus. This is called the Shruti Prasthana. Shruti is what you hear, what has been passed on to you by word of mouth. This is the oral tradition. Upanishads have come down in the oral tradition from the sages. So Upanishads constitute the first corpus for the Vedanta. And the second is, based on the Upanishads, the truths of the Upanishads are conveyed to the to the people at large in a style that is very easy to comprehend. We find the Bhagavad Gita telling us the same truths as the Upanishads contain, but in much simpler language and in a way that many more people could understand. I don't say Bhagavad Gita is understood by all people, but anyway, understanding also has different degrees and different depths. Well, Bhagavad Gita is easier to follow than the Upanishads. And the Gita, as the sum and substance of the Upanishads, Upanishad Sarabhutam Gitam. This is the essence of the Upanishads you find in the Gita. This is the second major reliance of the Vedanta. This is called Smriti Prasthana. Smriti is the epic. Because Bhagavad Gita is a part of the epic Mahabharata, this is called the Smriti Prasthana. And the third corpus is the aphorisms collected together at some point of time by a thinker called Badarayana. His sutras, Brahma Sutra, they are called Brahma Sutras or Badarayana Sutras or Vyasa Sutras. It's the same. Sutras. Sutras are cryptic statements. They are extremely brief, but they are pregnant with meaning, and they are difficult to understand without an exegesis, without a commentarial literature. But this Brahma Sutra is the third prasthana. So thus the Upanishads, the Gita, the Brahma Sutra, they form the tripod on which the Vedanta rests. The Brahma Sutras are known as the corpus where you have to exercise your reason. Nyaya Prasthana. Nyaya is you think about it, cogitate about it, reason about it, and arrive at a conclusion. So Vedanta has these three, and Brahma Sutras, they are supposed to contain the truths formulated by the Upanishads as well as the Gita. And Vedanta strictly means an exposition of these Brahma Sutras. There have been various commentaries on Brahma Sutra, and the earliest commentary is by Shankara, who lived in the 7th century, and whose commentary is popular all over the country, especially in South India, in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, not in Kerala, where Shankara was supposed to be born. Well, there is another commentary, Baladeva's Govinda Bhashya, which is popular in Bengal. There is still another commentary by Vallabhacharya, which is popular in Gujarat. There is a commentary by Srikantha, which is called Shivadvaita Bhashya, which is popular or which was popular in Kashmir. And in central India, still another commentary was Nimbarka, was popular. Thus, in the entire country, several commentaries on Brahma Sutra have been representatives of the Vedantic tradition. So Vedanta is applicable to the entire country, but different regions have different commentaries to rely upon. And the only state in the country where Vedanta does not have a hold at all is Kerala. In Kerala, Mimamsa still rules the roost. In Kerala still Mimamsa holds. In the rest of the country, Mimamsa has been given a go by, and Vedanta has taken the place. And the different bhashyas of the Brahma Sutra, they have prevailed in the various regions. Now, the Vedanta did some transformations. The Mimamsa insisted that this life is there for you to live. Things are there for you to enjoy. The world is not to be negated. The world is not to be dismissed. And the world is as you see it. Yatha sandrishyate tatha. Don't look for causal explanations, and there is no creator for the world. The karma alone rules the world. Therefore, your job is to know the world, to transact with the world, to have your roles in the world, to do your duties in the world, be aware of your obligations. The world is all important. Vedanta shifted the emphasis from the world to the inner man. The man within is more important than the world outside. So Mimamsa, Vedanta represents a transformation of interest from the world to the Atman. Atman is all important. What does it matter if you gain the whole world and lose yourself in the bargain? So this Atman is all important. So the Vedanta said, Atmavare vijignyasatavyaha. Know the Atman, look for the Atman, search the Atman, and anyavacho vimunchatha. Leave off all other talk. Well, the Vedanta for the first time turned the attention of thinkers and they asked, the search for happiness in material terms is will-o'-the-wisp. It's like the grin of the Cheshire cat. You can't have it at all. On the other hand, it is for you to get that state of mind where you are not bound by the shackles of the mundane reality, where you can truly be freed. So from Swarga, the attention was shifted to the moksha, the concept of moksha or the mukti. Mukti is from the root much. Much is to escape, to be freed from, to be liberated from. Liberated from what? Liberated from ignorance, which alone is the cause for suffering. So Vedanta is a continuation of Buddhism in this sense. If Buddhism is a continuation of the Upanishadic thought, Vedanta is a continuation of the Buddhist thought. The Buddha emphasized on dukkha, and he analyzed dukkha as being brought about by avidya. Vedanta took this thought. World is full of suffering. Either it is suffering in the beginning or it is suffering at the end. Or for some people it's suffering through and through. No man can be freed from suffering, can be free from suffering. Suffering is natural to man's lot. But there is a way of removing this suffering, because suffering is caused by ignorance. If ignorance is undone, suffering is undone. So avidya is undone by vidya. So jnana alone can free man and not karma of any sense. So Shankara says in his commentary, Varsha shatenapi sahasrenapi karmana na avapnute. You might be engaged in ritualistic action for years and years. You might engage yourself in hundreds of rituals, but you will not be an inch nearer knowledge. So this strong espousal of knowledge is because this suffering is caused by ignorance. What could remove ignorance excepting knowledge? Therefore, knowledge alone is the royal road which Vedanta. So from karma to jnana, from swarga to mukti, from jagat or outside world to atma, these three transformations were achieved by the Vedanta. I suppose I have made myself clear. And then Vedanta took to a rigorous analysis of the human being. It looked into his structure. Taittiriya Upanishad, for example, it analyzes the human being in terms of the body, which is nourished by food, annamaya, kosha, the sheath, the outermost cover that we have, the cover that's in contact with the world outside. It is pervaded by, it is inspired by, it is enlivened by the vital principle, prana. Prana, the various functions that go, vital functions that go on in the body. This is the second covering. And inside that is the mind, the psychological functionings, the manomaya kosha. And inside that, the consciousness, which is beyond the mental processes, but which is basic to the mental processes. And this consciousness has the core within, which they call the Anandamaya, bliss, or absolutely free from all stress, Anandamaya Kosha. Thus, in the Upanishad, in the Vedanta analysis, an individual is made up of 5 coverings. The outermost is the body, next to it is the life, next to it is the mind, next to it more and more internal is consciousness, and within consciousness is this ananda or bliss. And the Vedanta said, according to these, there are the 3 states through which all of us pass through, the avasthatraya. The first is wakefulness, where all the sheaths work, operate. Then the swapna or dream, where only the sheath of mind works, because dream is a product of the mind, the mental functions. And sushupti or deep sleep, where only the core is, the ananda is, and no other sheet works. So during the passage of these 3 states or conditions, an individual
What is the word for wakefulness and
Jagrat. Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Wakefulness, where the sense organs function, mind works with the sense organs, and the individual is in contact with the world outside. This is Jagrat. Where the sense organs have slept, they are not functioning at all, but the mind is alert. That is the dream state. And the deep sleep, where neither the sense organs nor the mind works. The individual has retired to his own core. The Vedanta says the sleep state is a blissful state, but the blissful state is known only after you wake up and not when you are experiencing it. Only when you wake up, you say, Sukham aham aswapsam, I slept very well. When the sleep is refreshing, you are not aware of the sleep. You are not aware of yourself. There is no dichotomy of the world and the individual. The Vedanta points out, this is the really real. This is the supreme reality, where consciousness is freed from all stress whatsoever and where all differences lapse. Sleep of a rich man and a poor man, this is the same kind of sleep. Sleep is one common denominator of all existence. So they pointed out that this inquiry into the condition of sleep, rationale of sleep, and the nature of sleep is going to enlighten us about the Atman and the Brahman. And Vedanta further said, the world is an expression of this Atman. It is a sort of a nama rupa vyakarana. It is a diversification in names and forms. So everywhere you have this deep consciousness, but you have it in several forms, shapes and aspects. The consciousness outside the individual in its cosmic aspect they call Brahma. And the core consciousness they call the Atman. And the Vedanta works out an equation of Atman and Brahman, Atma cha Brahma. The reality of the world is also the reality which is deep within yourself. So the Vedanta teaches not to look out to reach Brahman, look within. Look within to reach the Brahman. And the Vedanta has as many as 32 different vidyas. They are called vidyas, or methods of reaching the Atman. One of them is called the Dahara Vidya. Inside the heart in Sanskrit, in Ayurveda, as well as in Samkhya, is not the heart of modern physiology, the heart which pumps the blood. Hrida in Sanskrit is the core of one's being, the centralmost aspect of one's being is called the Hrida. And the Hridaya, the word heart, in Vedanta, it means Hridayam. Self, Atman or Brahman abides there. So the notion in Vedanta is deep within these sheets, deep within the heart is an empty space. And in this empty space there is this light who is the Atman. This light is the light that you see in the sun also. Yosa vasau aditye purushaha saha guhayam. So Vedanta equates the Atman within with the Brahman outside. Atma cha Brahma. So in Vedanta therefore the normal rituals are of no interest whatsoever, and God is considered not as something that is approached by mind, but as something which makes mind function. So there are no theistic personal gods, there are no rituals whatsoever. It is deep contemplation, absorption in the identity of the Atman with the Brahman. This in short is the outlook of the Vedanta. And of course there are different interpretations, Advaita, Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, which are really not relevant to Vedanta. They are sectarian in interest, and I don't suppose you would be interested in it either. Well, shall I stop there? And can we have some questions?
It is true. The growth of population, let the soul derive
Oh, I don't know, because the concept of rebirth is not merely a dogma. It has become a theme for research now. And in many parapsychological laboratories, there is work going on this phenomenon of rebirth, where they recall incidents of previous life. And there are what are called the OBE experiences, out of the body experiences, which point out that the body is not necessarily where the soul rests. The soul could exist independently of the body. Well, I would like to know, but I don't know. Jainas believe that there is a scale, that there is a hierarchy. Now, in the scientific circles, Darwinian evolution is not believed in. And very competent intellectuals, they are not sure if the passage from the primate level to the Homo sapien level is really evolution or onward progress. For example, an amoeba in a single with its single cell, it can do all the functions of life. What are the functions of life? Ultimately, assimilation of food, elimination of waste, reproduction, survival. The greatest man to a fool does only these. An amoeba does all this with a single cell. And man with million cells is not able to do this very efficiently. Do you call it progress, evolution? From amoeba to man, have we evolved really? And look at the monkeys at the primate level. They can look for their food. They can multiply their species. They can continue their species. And they can rest very contentedly during nights, as if the world does not exist for them. And in the midst of the bitter struggles between them, they can always grin at you. Can man do it? So from primate level to the Homo sapiens level, have we really evolved? Take the tribal people and the sophisticated people. Have we evolved? Take the rustic people, they are quite happy. At 14 they marry. At 17 they rear a family. And at 20 they are mature men. Look at the city-bred people. At 40 they are still students. They don't stand on their legs. Their education career has not ended. Their prolonged infancy. In 2 weeks, the young one of a horse can trot. But a man takes several years to do that. Do you call it evolution? Do you call it progress? We don't know. So it is change, all right. But whether it is change, they are the largest population of animals, beings. And human beings have created an environment of their own. We call it culture. Culture is a man-made environment. And within that culture he can adapt. But that culture itself has a lot of discontents. And how many wars have not been fought to end wars? Has man been wise? And man has accumulated all the material wealth. Has he a little bit happier than what he was? And so many religious teachers have come. Have we really got the panacea? That means we are not adaptable really. Here and there freaks of saints come. Freaks of people like Gandhi come. But rest of the people remain where we are. Well, do you call it evolution really? Ethically speaking, are we an inch nearer the progress? And only now the nuclear aerosol is being discussed. Did we take 1 million years to do that? Homo sapiens has been on this globe for nearly 1 million years. So he left off the stone, flint stone, and started using a cudgel. Since then we have been using weapons. Nuclear weapons are the latest in the series. So that primitive man left off the cudgel. He took to agricultural farming. There was a change in civilization. Have we left off the nuclear weapons now? No, in the broader perspective, just because we are human beings, it's good to say that we are at the top of the evolutionary series. But are we really at the top? I don't know. I'm rather pessimistic in that. No, Bhagavad Gita does not extol the karma yoga of the Mimamsa type. The karma that Bhagavad Gita insists is the nishkama karma. The karma without any desire for the reward. Karma as a duty. So this is what the Bhagavad Gita extols. And Bhagavad Gita also condemns Vedavadarata partha nanyadasti tivadinaha moghasha. So it's a severe condemnation of the ritualists. I don't know. I have not looked into that book. Sleep. Sleep and meditation, they are in quality the same. If sleep is to be refreshing, sleep has to be undisturbed. there should not be any intrusion of the body or the sense organs or the mind upon consciousness. The consciousness must be severely left to itself. That is refreshing sleep. If mind intervenes now and then, it is troubled sleep. That is not sushupti at all. Meditation which has been well planned and well trained and well prescribed should have the same effect. One session of meditation should be as refreshing as the period of sleep. It's a correct statement in this sense that now a lot of work is going on sleep and dream. A lot of psychological work is going on. Now we know for certain that by various recordings of the electroencephalographic records and things of that sort, in 3 hours of sleep, it's only about 5 to 10 minutes that you are really deeply asleep. Rest of it varies at the alpha waves, at the beta waves, etc., etc., etc. So this is all that is refreshing for you. Beyond that, it is sleep which is that 5 minutes you really descend to yourself. And the electroencephalographic record will not be able to reach that spot. That's to say, your consciousness has literally gone out of your brain. Gone out? No, it's figuratively. Figuratively. Well, that is real, refreshing, deep sleep. Rest of the sleep is for pleasure, for comfort, for whatever it is. In meditation, you can't reach that stage at will. In sleep, it's all involuntary. You can't will to sleep. If you want to sleep, you will never sleep. So sleep should come involuntary to you. Unawares, you sleep. But meditation is not like that. Meditation, you voluntarily sit for meditation. There is a desire on your part. There is the will on your part to sit down to meditate. Yes?
Meditation.
Well, it presumes two difficulties. One, the term meditation is used for several practices. Like some people meditate on the belly, some people meditate on the tip of the nose, some people meditate on the middle of the eyebrows, some people meditate on an object or an idea or an image or a reflection. But what you really mean by meditation is that the mind is not distracted. Mind can focus its attention on one particular thing to the exclusion of everything else. So meditation is another term for concentration. When you are solving a mathematical problem, you are meditating. And when you are answering a question paper, you are meditating. So meditation as concentration is an absorption. You are totally absorbed in it. So that's why they say, in the Zen, they say, gardening done with avidity is meditation. You meditate while doing carpentry. So any job could be a form of meditation. All that you need to do is, the mind should not be under stress, mind should not be distracted, mind should be focused on something. And this itself has a rejuvenating effect. The mind that is gathered together has potency and power, whereas the mind that is scattered loses this power. So meditation to that extent is like deep sleep, rejuvenating. But in sleep you are not aware that you are sleeping. Whereas in meditation you can be aware that you are meditating. There is a dichotomy. You meditating, they are two different things. The object on which you focus your meditation is still another, tertium quid. So, the mind is not entirely absorbed. So, it is better to go to deep sleep than meditate if you want to have good results. But with this difference, that when you go to deep sleep, you wake up the same man. The quality of life does not change. Whereas in meditation, the presumption is every time you meditate, you become better and better and better. Inward moving process. Whereas sleep will give you a refreshment for a time being. You are the same man again, you need sleep again. Is the place of our being. So we go to that being. Yes, sink to that level, core of the being. You go down to the roots of your existence. Well, it's a tall order. Kundalini strictly means a serpent. Serpent which has wound itself like a circle, like a ring. Kundala is the ear ring, a circular ear ring. And Kundalini is the snake which has assumed this form, which has put its tail in its mouth, forming a circle. This is Kundalini. In the human body, there is supposed to be a power that we inherit from the primeval source or the mother. It's called the Shakti, mother. Every individual has a portion of that power, an amsha of that power, of the mother goddess or the Shakti. And this occurs in the lowest center called the Mooladhara. Mooladhara is the basic center. So there are 6 psychic centers: Mooladhara, Manipura, Anahata, and Vishuddha, Ajna and Sahasrara. So this serpent is slothful. This energy or power is figuratively spoken of as a serpent, a snake, or Sir John Woodruff has written serpent power. Serpent is a power. So because the serpent in Indian mythology is considered to be an immortal being. It has no birth, it has no death. And when it comes of a particular age, it will remove its skin and acquire fresh skin. So a snake is not supposed to die at all by itself. If you kill it, it will die. But on its own it is not supposed to die. So this power is an eternal power that rests in your body at the lowest of the psychic centers in a coiled up and sluggish manner. It is asleep. So the purpose of the sadhana is to make this power wake up. Jagrati, Kundali Jag, waking up the Kundalini. Because among normal individuals, the basic ignorance is because that power is asleep in us. Bhakti Yoga is a means of Jnana Yoga. There are 3 main divisions: Karma Marga, Bhakti Marga and Jnana Marga. Jnana Marga is the supreme. The other 2 are instrumental. So karma is leading to jnana, bhakti is leading to jnana. So bhakti yoga in Bhagavad Gita is total devotion so that he knows the individual. This is because does not attach much importance to it, but Ramanuja, Nimbarka, Vallabha, Srikantha, Baladeva, all the others recognize the importance of bhakti. What they all mean, Ramanuja and Madhva, they all recognize. What they mean is, jnana is a function of the mind. Jnana can't come to you in any other way. So even the Upanishad, which recognizes that Brahman is not to be known by mind, yan manasa namanute, mind can't comprehend him, because mind can only comprehend finite things. The things which are the data for the sense organs. Mind can only work on it. So this mind, how can it comprehend something which is beyond it? So mind is not able to comprehend all that. But mind is the vehicle of jnana. How else do you get jnana? Even in Jnana Yoga, how else do you get jnana? Jnana only through the mind. So they recognize that there is some jnana which you acquire by exercising your mind. This they call aparajnana, lower knowledge. Knowledge about God, knowledge about Brahman, you read, you acquire information.
First day of the lectures on the 5th, we were all at Bharat Electronics. While coming at 1:45 in the afternoon, the general comment one could hear was, the lectures on Indian philosophy will be something like a good sleeping tablet, and 2 o'clock in the afternoon after a good lunch is ideal time to sleep. But Professor Ramachandra disappointed us thoroughly. We were all quite wide awake at the end of 1 hour, and we were all not only wide awake, but we had so many questions that it was tough managing them. Sir, we are all extremely grateful to you for taking us through the entire history of Indian philosophy and making number of difficult concepts extremely simple for us. Normally there are number of myths which you rightly explored and clarified our basic thoughts on Indian philosophy. And another thing which normally is done is when one talks of Indian philosophy, one goes only to Hindu philosophy, but one doesn't come to know of what riches Jainism and Buddhism have. And there also their great contribution was very clearly brought out, which we could appreciate, but for you this could not have been just possible. The good sense of humor which you had kept us all alive right through and quite actively participated. Each one of us was so bubbling with enthusiasm, and the greatness was you did come down to our level and answered each one of our questions, though you were at a very high frequency. Such coming down would have been quite difficult. Last but not least, I would like to thank Mrs. Ramachandra for her gracious presence. Thank you.